Коллеги, доброе утро. Я Скоморохов Максим.
Good morning. I'm Maxim Skamarokov, head of service department in the Infosystems Jet company. We provide
Услуги сервиса, эксплуатации
services
систем
and operate
работ. Мы достаточно
B to our customers. We are quite close to IT,
доклада идет по
and the topic for the report
Всем
goes
доброе
along the
утро.
way.
Меня зовут Фролов Владимир.
Vladimir,
Также представлен
yes, I'm Vladimir Frolov.
являюсь
I
начальником
represent this same company. I'm head of service department. So let me explain how we work. You know, one of them, the head, the other one also is the head. Maxim works with the people, engineers who do the work with their hands, and I have service managers who interact with the customers. They have the single entry point, and they manage all of the work that the engineers do. So here we would like to share one of the cases with you, our cases from our life. It's a story of how we started working with one of our key customers and the problems we've encountered at the start of the operation. In the beginning, we would like to ask you if there's been one here who provides such services. Who's been the recipient of these services? All right. So regardless of which side of the fence you're on, whether you're outside or inside, it doesn't really matter. There are people who consume your services and those who receive your services. I should say that Mikhail has said that it's applicable to IT and IT security. Speaking in terms of our customer, it's a large-scale federal banking institution. It's a bank which has an office just across the board here in Russia, and we have a few ways to interact with the customer: IT and cybersecurity services. So here are the things that we have pointed out. For instance, for example, firewalls, web apps protection, VPN access. So it's about 11,000 users, more or less, and 24,000 applications per year, which accounts for 90 plus applications per day. We run our operations at 24/7, and we operate at a very serious scale. Any outage of the service may cause thousands of users not being able to interact with the bank and use the bank's information infrastructure. Speaking in terms of problems, we have collected the main ones. So I would like just to speak about the right hand of the slide, and Max will share the story with the left hand side. So we'll touch upon processes and operation chaos that we saw at the start, critical incidents of which we have had a few in a month, and we spent days and nights fixing them. And certainly the customer satisfaction, and it would reach unacceptable levels for us. Well, my side is a qualification competency deficit, which prevented us from fulfilling lots of tasks at the start. Also, we started having the systems with the monitoring solutions. These monitoring solutions would be reacting to each and every alert, and handling this alert required a lot of resources. Altogether, all in all, in the beginning, it really generated poor quality of the SLA, poor SLA quality, and it was reaching 82%. Later on, we will split our presentation into two parts. I will be speaking about the problem solutions in terms of service and operation. Vladimir will take the processes.
Дефицит компетенций. К нам пришел заказчик.
Competency deficit. We had a customer And
огромное количество заявок по
he came up to us with lots of applications for different services that we have to service. There were more than 15 such systems. After a short time, it overloaded the high-quality experts with tasks, but still we couldn't really integrate the basic competence experts because they couldn't really have a right to make any mistakes at all. In order to resolve that problem, we implemented a linear diagram of the service operation, of which I would like to talk about. First of all, we've analyzed we've analyzed all of the amount of work, and we have set up the problems by tasks. We created playbooks for them, for the first line support, and we sent it to the first line. The mandatory requirement for the first line was double control of the application, of change application. With the firewall, there were plenty of tasks, so the first line expert would establish a rule. He would not apply it. He would share it with the text format with a higher position colleagues, and only after it's been aligned and adopted, the changes are applied. The high quality expertise employees have started handling work in a better way, and we've modernized the training of our potential. We use the LMS platform into which we have loaded our tests by systems, which has allowed us to test the engineers more efficiently. We have arranged workshops where engineers would get together and they would share the ways that they resolve the problems and tasks. We shifted some of the typical tasks to the technical window, those with the business impact incidents. Even if we used all of the safe measures, still there was a risk. And so we decided to put this in the technical window. Technical window means that the business is running at minimal output, and the impact on business would be minimal. So it provided some peace of mind for the engineers. They would be less worried about potential incidents, and on the other hand, the customer knows and understands that the chance for the incidents arising in the working hours is minimal. These technical windows have been allocated separately. In case of the incident, its root cause could be quickly localized. A few words about the monitoring. We inherited the infrastructure like a monitoring system, which was a set of heterogeneous metrics. There were plenty of alerts generated to which we would have to react, and we would have to spend our resources on very irrelevant metrics. But important and necessary events, the monitoring system skipped such things, and it was absolutely unacceptable for the customer. So the third line support experts started bringing the monitoring system to order with the responsible people appointed. The customer accumulated some feedback, they gathered feedback, we get feedback from the customer, so we realized the understanding of the current situation, and in a similar way we decided to move along to the actual goal. when we have aligned the changes in the monitoring, we have significantly reduced the number of unnecessary events. The monitoring has become a regular task for the people responsible, so they could timely react to the system, state, and we have freed up a few resources to provide functional monitoring to reach even better attention level, not the attention, but better understanding of the system and its impact on the customer's business. Inside the processes of our department, the situation was also analyzed why we would spend so much time handling the applications. So the service desk would not allow us to rationally allocate this work among the engineers. In order to do that, we have applied the automation scenario with a Python-based software. We have integrated that into the service desk. This software defines and applies the weights for each particular application, depending on their capacity. It allowed us to see the workload onto the engineers and allocate the work among them. So the engineers could work with the less effort spent, and it provided higher quality of application processing. Quality control. Like I had said, the SLA at the beginning was reaching 82%, which was bad. So we have decided to improve that with the regular outdated applications analysis. And how we did that? We collected the reports, we turned that into a very convenient forum for the group work for each application. The reason for the delay was determined, and then the measures were taken. After the measures had been taken, we would follow up that process in retrospect, and we would restart this process. Such iterations allowed us to improve the quality and reach the higher SLA. That's the key reason becoming successful. The person should not be affiliated or should not be in the line, should not be the line manager engineers, so that everyone is equal. This process should be regular, and it should have higher priority of the process. The owner of the process should be demanding. Ideally, they would have to disagree with the reasons for the delays and the decisions made by them, and they should find out the root cause of that himself or herself, and make sure that the group leaders understand what caused that. And now I would like to give the floor to Vladimir. Thank you, Max. Let's take a look at the right-hand side, the processes. We will talk a little bit about that. We've done a lot to improve the situation, but let's just check the major ones. The major methods that we used, and I think they may be very useful for you as well. So we'd start with the ITIL 4 principles. Since 2019, when this methodology was issued, and it just stopped being a story in the world of IT, and it started getting more business-oriented,
максимально на
Our colleagues here from Russia decided to make sure that we focus on value that we generate for our customers. The customers, meaning end users and IT and internet security in the company. These things that we have always thought about, and they would run through all of the work we did, all of the analysis related work, all of the improvements that we wanted to introduce. First of all, we focused on value. That's the most important thing that you should never ignore. Whenever you work, you need to remember that that's the benefit of your work. That's the value of the work you do. If you don't generate any value, you probably should not do that in the first place. Please don't lose what you have created. Don't arrange any revolution. Don't start a revolution. Maybe you should consider it. Have an iterative way. Make sure that your planning cycles are not that long, and even if you have annual planning, you just need to cut down the intervals so that you understand whether you were wrong or not, and you need to change the situation as soon as possible, and maybe choose a different way. This progress should be conveyed to each and every customer. Psychologically, if they don't see it, they think that you don't do anything. So you need to introduce this to your customers. It creates the atmosphere of trust. It allows you to show the progress that you make and receive timely, valuable feedback to decide which direction to choose. You need to think in a very comprehensive way, and you need to think and work holistically. When any type of work affects other tasks, think about how it affects not only your services tasks, but your neighbors, but also the other ones that provide affiliated services to the customer. Make sure that you keep it simple and practical. Don't complicate. Make sure you keep it simple. And the last thing, Maxim mentioned automation. First of all, we do the optimization. We check the processes and we check how they work. First of all, we correct them. Then we do the automation, or alternatively, we may create chaos from the mess. It has lots of processes and practices, so we have decided to take a look at the main part, which would give us the results as soon as possible.
Наш выбор пал на процессы управления запросами, инцидентами, проблемами.
So we went for management of change, incident management. Management of request helped us standardize the activity, to fine-tune the sequence, to normalize the time taken for the performance of tasks so that they are regulated by contracts and dialogues with clients. The incident management, of course, allowed us to systemically approach task management, determine correlations. And if a process works as should, you can remove unnecessary elements. Another important point is speeding up operations as soon as possible in the event of an incident, in the event of service shutdown or major degradation. Incident management. Of course, incidents must be resolved and mitigated as soon as possible. If so, the business will be happy. And we, as no one else, should focus on the primary reasons. And the management process helps us to take a deep dive into that. It may take months, but the key point is to establish the original reason. And of course, management of change. The purpose of management of change is to ensure the highest number of successful changes. Unless it is standardized and regulated, works are not scheduled, planned, testing is not allocated for, time and participants are not scheduled. It is spontaneous. Normally this leads to unsuccessful results, especially in the case of critical systems. This is why the process must be structured. It needs to be established who influences what. In the event of an incident, you can see who did what to fix the issue as soon as possible. One of the approaches we wanted to cover is called shift left. It helped us a great deal. We have specific services with the client, the service desk, the service portal. Users submit their tickets. There are tickets submitted via the client's system. We have our own service desk. We have our own lines of support. User machine support, in cybersecurity protection tools in the case of our center. This approach helps resolve two problems: reduce the time to market and reduce the workload on the highest qualified engineers, reducing the workload that requires lower qualifications, shifting the workload left, and ideally to the user themselves. They can refer to the self-service portal and find answers to the questions, get a service. This is the perfect case. We analyzed jointly with the client what happens on their side, how a user selects a service and the operations they perform and the operations we perform. We brought together everything that could be shifted left from line 3 to line 2 and line 1. And sometimes we even refer to the client services. This helped us to reduce the time required for the performance of the most standardized operations, offering the services they require. Lean originates from Japan. This is a big thing with Toyota. It relates to lean manufacturing. People have used this system to minimize the loss registered. This is the concept of lean management of processes, and there are three types of losses: Muri, overload in terms of resources; Mura, uneven distribution of resources across processes; and Muda, that says that what we do is useless. This is about the value we referred to at the beginning. One needs to understand whether these actions are actually useful and bring value to our clients and users. As Max suggested, Muri and Mura, we provided for automation, helping to evenly distribute the processes. Muri was more challenging. It took a month to consider 2.5K tickets to get to understand what is actually going on, what scope of work we do. And to our surprise, we discovered that 30% was useless. People spent the time, our engineers did some work, and in the end, the client did not receive the value they expected to get. Another point on CJM, Customer Journey Map, as suggested earlier, we tried to build how we receive tickets from the point of origination, point of origin, from the client, which services are involved, how these tickets get processed, the way we receive them. Surprisingly, there are some tickets that get redirected multiple times across our services.
Дало нам ответы на то, почему эти заявки прыгают,
This gives us the answers why tickets got redirected so many times. This helped us find solutions, reducing the number of redirections, optimize this workflow, and reduce the workload. And in most cases, indeed, we were able to reduce the time frame required by around 20%, giving clients the result they need faster. Another point on OKR, objectives and key results.
Мы решили, что нам нужно точно всеми заинтересованными сторонами в команде сервиса собираться с тем, чтобы...
All the parties involved, all the stakeholders need to convene, and we held multiple workshops to determine the pains, the ideas, the suggestions. We built a integrated platform for sharing visions, understanding tasks that require solutions. And this is a team-building factor. This is a platform helping us determine the objectives and find solutions. This helped us to make a significant leap forward. Our goals and objectives are set on an annual basis, and we do our best to be as flexible as possible to achieve these objectives quarterly or monthly. We keep track of our progress to determine whether the progress is as planned, whether we need to pivot or change our decisions. We use Jira to keep track of progress, and we have Kanban-based boards broken down by type: tickets, complaints, urgent, non-urgent tasks, items. We break down the backlog in terms of annual goals. We meet regularly and decide what we take on. Doing. We discuss the progress and keep track of it. Obviously, we do promotion to make sure that the client is sure we are on the job. This is one of the examples on the screen, improving the quality of system management through the development of competences of our team. I worked in client delivery support. I'm certified under ITL4, create, deliver, and support. This is the purpose of running this training session and requesting feedback. That's an important aspect. In terms of building a shared vision of the world. If we don't have a shared vision, how do we provide these services? This gets more pushback unless it's done. This helps us to be on the same page. Key results. As suggested earlier, we didn't cover the whole scope we could have demonstrated, but these are the actual numbers. The SLA is at 99%, minus 29% of operation costs, and customer satisfaction index of 100% for the third time running after fixing the situation. By the way, in fixing, it took around 8 months from understanding the problems, understanding what we do, understanding the way we introduce improvements, to receiving feedback from the client. It took 8 months. Please feel free to refer to the best practices. Even Einstein said there is nothing more practical than good theory. The key is to operate by trial and error. But you should not be ignorant on being client-centric. One must be able to hear and listen and not lose touch with the client. It doesn't matter what the contract says. Be agile. Do not be scrupulous about punctuation. and wording. Once you become agile, your life will become easier, thus you will make your clients happy.
Благодарим вас, коллеги, за внимание.
Thank you.
Будем признательны за обратную связь, как говорил
We
организатор.
would appreciate your feedback as the organizers suggested. It would be our pleasure to take your questions, if any. If you have a question, please raise your hand.
Наш коллега с микрофоном, который готов его до вас донести.
We have a mic in this room. We have a question over there, Nikita. Yes, we have a question.
Добрый день, спасибо за доклад.
Hello, thank you for
У вас на
contribution.
слайде был CSI и 100.
You said that the CSI Customer Satisfaction Index is at 100%. How did you measure CSI? How can you make sure that you actually serve it everyone, all the stakeholders? And how do you make sure that it's actually 100%? Answer. In this case, we have three flows: SOC, or response. We have information technology support. This is our scope with Maxim, and the IT segment. For instance, firewalls are part of IT in banking, as well as mobile app protection. We have dedicated experts across departments, and we have multiple surveys and 3 benchmarks. If you are given 5 points across 3 streams, you get a total of 100% of CSI. We had 2 questions. The gentleman over here and another gentleman over there. Oh, that many questions. Good afternoon. In your contribution, you mentioned that you shifted left some of the tickets, even towards the client or the system owner, the responsible for the systems, or the business itself. My question is this: how did you convince, in the first place, the owners of these lines that we should shift left so that they should take over the responsibility for resolving issues? Or do you have any approaches or methodology in-house as a service provider? Methodologies to reduce the workload on the highest qualified employees of the respective line? Thank you. Answer. Thank you very much for your question. I would put it like this. Let me add to what has already been mentioned. It takes leadership. It takes a leader promoting this approach, inspiring people to embrace all these changes. Speaking of the internal structure and the associated services, our argument was this: we have signed a contract. The total performance time is this. If we shift left, we'll be able to reduce the time frame, the time and workload on the higher grade employees. Normally, that would be sufficient to convince them. How do you achieve that? You need to involve the stakeholders, talk to them, provide arguments, and be able to support and back your arguments. This is the key, both internally and externally. What is the value for the client? As I said earlier, we reduce time to market, TTM. When servicing tickets on the self-service portal, they could get a solution faster and not within 2 days. This is a valid argument for everyone who wants to reduce the service time. We have another question, and we got a hand raised. Yes, you will be provided a microphone. Good afternoon. Thank you for contribution. My question is this. You say that you wrote in Python a smart system for the management. Normally, you have a topic-specific third line, focusing on specific tasks. What did you write in this script per se, in terms of the performance of these tasks? So you take a look at the workload of each employee. How did you understand that John is overloaded while Jane is underloaded? One who has 3 items on their plate, they might look actually overloaded, but they might actually be sitting on their hands. And so in my contribution, I described the essence of this script. And the idea is that we analyzed all the ticket types across all the system types, the systems we work with, and we used a 10 scale of workload to calculate the weight. Now we understand that one item takes multiple days. The update of systems of other type only takes 30 minutes. Therefore, the weight ratio of tickets was different. The second point we used: increased weight for tickets with higher criticality. And based on how critical one was, we can make decisions. If an engineer has taken more high-weight tickets, the overall workload is higher. If there is no active operations on a given ticket, the workload is less. And the management of each group can track this dashboard and objectively assign additional weight on a given engineer for a limited time frame with a description of reasons. So we get an objective outlook of the workload. Thank you. Please hand over the mic to the gentleman over there with their hand raised, and then you will be given the floor. Thank you very much. Hello, it's been a pleasure following your presentation. My question is on business development and cooperation interaction with the clients. It's for everyone to see that cybersecurity, information security, in terms of business, is actually disruption of business activities, and it hinders the business development. How do I put this correctly? Sometimes you have issues when interacting with clients. I would like to get a top 3 of problems in terms of interaction with clients that you faced, encountered at the start. Let me just give you top 1 problems. This is the top 1 problem. I used to work in foreign companies. IT security and IT is part of a single entity. In our case, everyone has their own unknown track. Services are interconnected, they're mixed, they're influencing each other. Unfortunately, I've never seen pretty good friendship between IT and IT security services. The only solution is joint discussion sessions. With this specific client, we learned how to dialogue properly together. Thank you very much for your answer. By the way, one of the contributions today will focus on finding the correct approaches to being friendly. This is scheduled after the lunch break, so please make sure you attend. We have yet another question. Please hand over the microphone.
Коллеги, здравствуйте. Спасибо большое за доклад.
Hello. Thank you very much for contribution.
Какой эти 7 системы у вас построен скрипт для распределения?
What IT system is the distribution script based on, or is it any kind of automatic distribution? And who assigns weight to tickets, as you suggested earlier? And what are the key criteria for this breakdown or distribution? Let me point this right away. Who initiated this? Which line was it to shift left, some services being shifted left. Maxim, could you please take this question? Indeed, we have a service desk system based on BMC remedy.
Функционала с весами, собственно, не было.
And
Для того, чтобы
it didn't have the weight feature. To have this implemented, we developed this script.
по каким-то из типов заявок у нас на текущий
For some
реализовано
ticket types,
автоматическое распределение.
we have automatic distribution implemented. For other ticket types,
Благодаря
we
наличию
have
дашборда с загрузкой всех инженеров, они могут
dispatchers, and using this workload dashboard, they're able to distribute tickets, assign tickets
я уже говорил,
efficiently.
мы действительно
How do we distribute weights? Indeed, we analyzed all types of works
ну не скажу, что по всем, но абсолютному большинству систем, которые мы поддерживаем,
across the majority of systems that we support.
минимальный вес и максимальный вес, и
We
проставили эти
determined the minimum and maximum weights, and we signed respective characteristics to tickets. So that was done expertly. We're very open and transparent. People share their ideas, problems. We get together and discuss them. Well, no one screamed, "I don't want to work" in line 3. We had some input data, and we just listened.
Бывают заявки, которые, допустим, в процессе их решения могут поменять
There are
вес.
tickets
Реализовано
that might
автоматическое повышение или кто будет
Get
следить
a
за
different
изменением
weighted
важности этой
ratio
заявки.
as
Когда
they're
будет она
being
перемещаться,
processed.
получается,
Who
из одной
can
линии в
impact
другую,
their weight
получается,
as
обратно,
they
всё равно,
get redirected from
время
one line
ее
to
жизни,
another?
оно не
Its
уменьшается.
lifetime is still
Вопрос
is
про
not
сложные случаи,
reduced.
что
This is a question on
наша компания,
challenging cases.
может быть,
For
это
instance,
даже
our
часто
company,
встречается, когда
and probably this is a frequent
написано в
case.
заявке одно, по процессе решения возникает несколько
Well,
других
the
проблем.
initial
У вас, допустим,
assigned
эта заявка
time
дробируется
is one,
на
and
несколько
as you
других,
process it,
или это
the time
путешествие
changes.
одного и того же
Is
запроса
such
между линиями.
Is such a ticket broken down into multiple tickets? Answer: If it is within our department, we keep one ticket. If it spans multiple services, it's broken down into multiple tickets. Maxim, if I'm not mistaken, this system is actually trained on this data. Yes, there is some manual analysis going on.
Да, эти фичи как-то в базовом разрезе внедрены, но это действительно у нас такой
Yes,
процесс.
we have implemented these features on a basic level, but we further elaborate on that. It is being improved continuously. How does the integration of the script work in the service desk system? If I'm not mistaken, once in 5 minutes it pulls data on tickets and updates data on the dashboard.
Формат работ по заявке изменился.
If the scope of works of a given ticket changed, the engineer can reclassify its type with the respective change to its timeline.
Думаю, что, наверное,
Thank you.
вопросов достаточно. Давайте
Distinguished colleagues, I believe
Володю за очень
our
интересный
Q&A was a success. Let's hear it for our speakers. Thank you very much, guys.